gonna start off with a mix of NYX Shine Killer and Matte Prep and Prime because Anke has somewhat oily skin, but I want to make sure that we have a nice base, and I'm doing that with a Real Techniques pointed foundation brush. So I'm putting it where she needs it, and then I'm going to just work it with my fingers. So I'm going to use the Maybelline Dream Nude Ear Foam, and this is in the color Caramel. You want to shake it up, and it comes out like a mousse. I'm applying this with a brush, but you want to work fairly quickly because of course air is going to fall out of the foam if you leave it for too long. So I'm just using the same brush that I used with the primer because it's going to have a little primer left in there, and working on. And we want her to have a really nice luminous, healthy kind of look, and I'm putting it mainly where she needs it first, so where she's a little bit paler in her face to match it to the rest of her body. So for concealer, I'm going to use a combination again of the LA Girl Pro Conceal, and this is in the color Almond, and then Revlon Colorstay in medium. Almond has a pinky kind of tone, so that's going to kind of like brighten up under her eyes. And then the Colorstay just, you know, makes it a little bit lighter. I'm taking it right in wherever she has a little bit of darkness. She doesn't really have a lot of spots on her chin or anything that needs to be concealed, so we're just going to do it with this. And I'm using a Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush for this part, and then I'm going to blend it with my fingers and blend it right down. I want to give her a nice highlighted look. She has a few open pores because she's got oily skin, so we want to tap to blend. We don't want to rub and actually push it into the pores and emphasize them. Down the center of her nose, across top of her lip, just highlight the whole center of her face. So now I'm going to go in with Maybelline's Color Tattoo in Bold Gold all across her lid. Just really thin, and I'm using a flat brush to do that with, and then blend it. You want to work quick with color tattoos because they set pretty fast, and if you try to build up on top of them, they're just going to start to get kind of cakey looking. Just take that all the way across the lid, right up to the crease line, but not past the crease. I'm going to take it into the inner corner as well a little bit. Okay, so over the top of the Bold Gold, I'm going to go in with my Wet n Wild palette, and I'm using the third shade down on the left hand side. And it's kind of this really pretty taupey bronze color. And I'm just going to, from the center of the eye, go out and sort of just blend that into the middle so that the gold and the taupe blend seamlessly. But I wanted to put the gold underneath as well, so more of the gold tones come through. Make it a little bit more shimmery and a little bit more glamorous looking. And this brush that I'm using is from a brand called Kala. I don't know if it's available in the States, but it's available here in iMart, and honestly they're really good brushes for the price. They're not expensive at all. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade that's right below the taupe shade on the Wet n Wild palette, which is like this really beautiful warm brown. It's actually more like a black with warm rosy brown sparkle in it. So I'm going to tap it on in the outer V just to preserve a little bit of that sparkle. So if you rub it, it's going to, all the sparkle's going to go away and you're going to be left with just the dark brown black base. So I'm tapping it on with a pencil brush. This pencil brush is from Coastal Scents, and I'll try to find links for all the products that I use. And then with the same eyeshadow, but a fluffy brush this time, but really knock it off so that it's not too much at all. I'm just going to blend that up into the crease a little bit, working in kind of circular motions back and forth. Don't want it to go too high, we just want it to give her a little bit more definition in her crease. And I'm trying to keep the shape kind of round. I don't want it to wing out too much. Not too round, but not too much of a wing either. Because this is going to be a look that you can wear daytime or nighttime, or that maybe you could add a winged eyeliner or some eyelashes to make it a nighttime look. Okay, so taking the same Wet n Wild palette again, which by the way is Comfort Zone. I'm going to use the top lightest shade on the left and pat that with a fluffy brush for a brow highlight. It's slightly shimmery, but it's not too shimmery. And if you work it in, you won't get a crazy dazzle. You'll just get a little bit of a shimmer. And this brush is Eyeshadow Brush by e.l.f. So now I'm going to just pat under her eyes because we haven't set foundation or concealer yet at all. So I just want to get rid of any little creases that are going under there, and then set immediately. I'm using Ben Meg Banana Powder on a Real Techniques setting brush. And you don't want to put too much of this on because it will get cakey very fast. You want to be very careful. But it's a really nice setting powder, and I love that it has a yellow tint to it. Kind of pretty much setting wherever we put highlight with this powder. And then I'm going to set the rest of her face with a Real Techniques powder brush, and I'm patting it onto the skin and then sweeping just to avoid disturbing the foundation too much. And also take it onto her neck. And the reason we waited longer is because you can have fallout from these shadows, but also because you want to give foundation a chance to just sit on the skin and work its way on, just so that you avoid looking cakey. So for blush, I'm not going to use a whole lot of blush. I'm just using Milani's Luminoso blush. It's a really, really pretty peachy color. It's not even really going to show up on her color, but it's going to just give her a nice dewy, highlighted kind of finish. And I'm keeping this to just below where her iris is and pulling it back and up across her entire cheekbone. For this, I'm using an Eco Tools powder brush, which is actually a really good budget brush if you're on a budget. So now with that same brown shadow, I'm just gonna go under Anke's eyes, about halfway in with a small brush. This is a Real Techniques accent brush. Make sure the corner is closed up, about 2/3 of the way, I should say, not half. And then with the same brush, I've just cleaned it off a little bit on my hand. I'm gonna go in again with Bold Gold in the inner corner and right out and take it to meet up with that brown and blend it softly over the top of that, kind of so that they meet seamlessly in the center. And these brushes are synthetic, so you can use them with cream or shadow, and they clean up really easily. They even spot clean really easily for if you're using the same brush into different products. Although, FYI, you don't want to dip a brush into cream product and then into shadow, because you'll seal your shadows, but you can go the other way around. And then over the top of that, with the same brush, I'm gonna go in with this really kind of cool product by Maybelline. It's called Crystal Eyes, and it's just a gel, and on its own it doesn't have a lot of color, so you can wear it on its own for a little sparkle, or you can tap it over the top of any eyeshadow and let it dry, and it adds a really nice shimmer. It's a fine glitter as opposed to being chunky, so I think it's still appropriate for daytime. And you just keep your eyes closed until it dries. And I'm also taking that Crystal Eyes under the center of her eye, where the Bold Gold meets the brown eyeshadow. You just pat it on. Okay, so now I'm going to go in for Anke's brows, and I'm using an Estee Lauder eyeliner or brow brush. This is the number 20 brush, and just a dark brown shadow. And I'm going to start filling in. I kind of want her to have really nice bold brows for this, and Anke's brows have really nice natural shape, so I'm just going to work with the natural shape. And I'm dipping slightly and making short strokes and going kind of in the direction of the natural hair growth. I'm not going to go all the way into the middle because I want to be able to feather it slightly. It just gives it a little bit more of a natural look. And I like this brush because it's really, really small and quite stiff, so it's quite precise. So that's the brows filled in, and you could go on and clean them up if you wanted to with concealer around the tops and edges, but I kind of like them looking a little bit rough and a little bit more natural. So I'm going to use the Maybelline Colossal Volume Mascara, and this is Anke's mascara. And I'm not going to coat too much. Of course you can, because you can stop here if you want to, but I'm going to put on lashes. You want the full drama, but you could just curl your lashes. I didn't curl, again, because Anke has fairly curly eyelashes, and we are putting on false lashes, but you can curl your own lashes and put several coats of mascara, whatever your preference is. And you also want to do the bottom lashes. It's really important. It doesn't even matter if you think you have none. This makes a huge difference. It opens your eyes right up. So the lashes I'm using are Ardell's Demi Wispies, which are really nice because they have a short piece and a flared out edge. Now bear in mind, we haven't put any eyeliner on at all, so we want these to be as close as is humanly possible to the lash line. So if you don't really get eyelashes put on that great on your own, you might want to put on some eyeliner. And then I'm just going to pinch lashes onto Anke's natural lashes. That also ensures that they get nice and close, and that just adds a little extra drama. The tip is to always make sure that you let your glue dry a little bit. Let it dry for almost a minute, then it's tacky. And you can still move the lashes around and into place, but they're not going to slip and slide everywhere. And then just keep pressing them on and pinching them to your natural lashes until they've set. So I'm going to give you guys two options for lips. You can go for a really nude lip, which is really pretty. So this is Milani's Dulce Caramello lipstick. I'm just working it on ever so slightly. And it's got a kind of pinky tone, so it's not going to be completely deathly nude. This is the kind of lip that you're probably going to need to touch up, especially if you're eating. And I'm not bothering to line her lips because she already has so much structure going on in the rest of her face. We want the lips to stay soft. And she has nice shaped lips anyway. And over the top of that, I'm going to go in with the Lise Wattier Plumping Gloss. This is in the color Bronze. And it's just a really, really pretty, sparkly color. You'll notice we haven't done a lot of highlighter on her face, just because her eyes are so sparkly. We don't want the rest of her sparkling because she'll look like a disco ball. So that's one lip. So the next lip option that you can have, which is classic for Christmas or a party or just glamour in general, is a red lip. And I'm going to use Milani's lipstick in Red Label. And I'm going to start working it in really thin layers across the lip. Again, I'm not bothering to line her lips, but of course you can do that if you just so desire. The reason that we work in thin layers and work it into the lip is because that makes it much more long lasting. And for this I'm using a Real Techniques accent brush, which works really, really well as a lip brush. If your brush is kind of dry with the lipstick, then you'll make fewer mistakes, but we'll go back in and clean mistakes up anyway with foundation. And so then what we want to do is we just want to go around the edges to make sure that it's nice and clean and blend backwards So for that, I'm using an angled brush. Anywhere that you need to clean up, clean the brush off and blend outward. And then just set that with a little bit of powder. And that's the finished look. You could of course put gloss over the top of it, but that Milani red lipstick has a sheen finish to it. So Anke had her hair in pin curls, and we're just gonna take everything out, and then I'm gonna give it a spray with John Frieda Frizzies. This is a hairspray, but it helps calm down frizz as well.